Hey, what's going on, everyone? Look,
What's good?
It's that time because we know that we had to drop a guide. Like,
You gotta drop that guy. Spots in you.
yeah, we had to drop a guide video, so let's go ahead and do it. We're gonna cover a handful of things here because this one's a bit different. You know, we have different options now. It's not as straightforward as the last one was. There's a seasonal currently in place, so we'll go over that as well. But what you'll be expecting to get out of this is kind of what you need to know in terms of gearing, in terms of units, in terms of weapons, what you should use for those certain classes, and the augments and potency levels of which you should be at. All those above, well, we're not going to dive in heavily into certain things such as like specifically, the in-depths of the octos and the variations, and because we have another video for that. I'll link that in the description, as well as fixing enhancement system, covering the other types of fixes as well. We have a video for that already, which will also be linked in the description. So for more information on those matters, if you want to look into those.
Yo, we got
Without further
information.
ado, let's dive right in. So, all right. So you're thinking there, like, okay, man, I need to gear up. Do I need to get good? Where my potency's at like 80% right now. That's not good, by the way. Just straight out the gate, so that way straight off the bat, the minimum potency that you want to be at is 130. 130%. That's the minimum. Okay, that's what you want to aim for. That's not like try hard. It goes up. It goes. It's like 159 or 163 right now. But the minimum that you really want to be aiming for, realistically speaking, and very easily to obtain, is 130%. So just before we even get in there, let y'all know that right out the gate, because I'm sure that's what a lot of people want to know. But let's talk about how you get there. So we want to get you all prepped up and all geared up. So first and foremost, you're going to look at the options that you have right now. In terms of units, realistically speaking, what you should be aiming at is the Octos unit and its variations. The variations aren't really realistic right now. However, they will be in the future, so that will be an option. But regardless, you want to be aiming towards the Octo units, as you see right here. These are your Octo units, and they have 4.5 potency for flat potency on them.
Okay.
So we'll go here. You'll see that they have 4.5 potency across the board on them, flat. That's what you really want to be aiming at, is the Octo units. They have variations, the Octo Sheza, Belta, and the Arga, which are also 4.5, but they add 20 HP and they add 6 PP. So you'll have a total of 40 HP and 6 PP. But that's what you really want to be aiming at right now. And the augments are pretty much as you kind of saw on that piece right there, which we'll go back over. However, that's kind of what you're aiming towards. Now, realistically speaking, you may not be able to get that right now. Those come from Leciel, from having Growthment that you can trade in, which if you're running the LTQs right now, from the seasonal, you can get Growthments as well on top of the Leciel exploration to get those octos.
Okay.
That's what you want to be aiming for. But let's say, you don't really have that. Let's say you don't really have that.
I don't have
right now in the seasonal shop. You're gonna find some Ajax armors.
So we have another option.
Now, let me tell you right now, when you're looking at this, in the past, it was okay to buy the seasonal armor, and you could pretty much, they came equipped with some decent Augs at the time. These Augs on this armor are not, you do not want to really keep these. For rule of thumb, y'all, let me actually close this out before I say this. For rule of thumb,
say something real.
when you're gearing, you don't want an augment below 3%. You don't want an augment below 3%. Now, there are exceptions like Mastery 4 and Alt Secretary 4, and maybe if you want to put one Dread Keeper 4 on your units. I do run with one Dread Keeper 4. However, rule of that's because I have good augments elsewhere. Everything else is great augments.
You top level.
But rule of thumb, if you just need a straight answer, 3 and above. That's what your augments should be, 3 and above.
Okay, 3 and above.
3 should be the absolute minimum.
3 minimum.
Unless it's a Mastery 4. Alt Secretary is the same thing, pretty much it's Mastery 4, just a poopier version. But that's like the only odd. That's the only scenario where it should be under 3. So just a rule of thumb, 3 and above. Okay. Now you can go into here and you can get these Ajax units if you want to. However, I would not invest heavily into these. Really try your best to do Leciel or the limited time quest to get the Growthment. It only costs 50 Growthment to get an Octo unit.
Hello.
As you see here at the Augment Exchange, you'll see Octo. For a regular Octo, it's only 50 here. Do not worry about getting the guard one. Remember, always remember, fixes are a luxury, especially on units. On weapons, they make much more of a difference, but they are definitely a luxury on units. And realistically speaking, you just want this. And remember that these armors drop with fixes inside of Leciel as well. So while you're running Leciel, it's always possible that you get one to drop that already has a preset fixer on it.
Okay.
Right? And they, or you just get one to drop period. You don't even have to spend the Growthment.
Right.
But you really want to take advantage of having an Octo because it's the top potency that you can get right now. And things like the Ajax, having all, I have one of them, but having 3 of them still is definitely a pretty big down jump. It's 3.5 versus 4.5%.
Thank you.
Now keep in mind, speaking about potencies, by the way, a lot of people get overwhelmed by this. Remember that the potencies, the way that the numbers work on the units and the weapons are multiplicative.
Wait, what?
So I think a lot of people get overwhelmed because like they'll be like, 80% potency and they'll be like, dude, how are these people getting to 150 potency?
Right. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
You have to understand things are multiplicative. So pretty much the higher you go,
okay,
the more that percentage is going to give you. Like for example, look at this right here.
Yeah.
So right now I'm at 144. I have my Neos Astrean on. Let me change to my seasonal. The only thing that's different, now let me tell you, the only thing that's different on this from my seasonal weapon to this is the seasonal augment.
Okay.
And this one has a high Odomina.
Okay.
So I'm missing 3.0%.
Right.
Of course, the seasonal augment, gives its own thing, but it's on seasonal mobs.
Right.
So I'm missing 3.0%. You see that? My potency is 144.4. Now I switch over to this.
Okay, switch on.
Right? Do we open this back up? It's 137.
137. Wait, hold up.
But it's only a 3.0 difference. Yet 137 to 144. Obviously, that's more than 3. So as you see, it's multiplicative. And that's how the augments will work. So when you're stacking these augments up, they're multiplicative. So that's how that potency increases. That's why you want to be doing that. And that's why you want to make it so that, your lowest one is only 3.0 because you're essentially doubling it every time you put one on. So if you're only putting one, you just getting, you put a 1%, you might be getting 2% worth on the total scale. You put a 4%, you're essentially getting 8%, 9% more on your total. You see why that's important now.
Yeah, that's important.
So a lot of people don't understand that. So that's, I had to run through that for those who don't understand that and why it is important as to why you should be, trying to invest in these augments. Now, of course, there's LC augments. Those are all free augs that you can get from running LC, the Leciel Exploration, or the limited time quests. These are good because they are free and they just come from you running the LC. It's that simple. They come from you running the LC. There's nothing that you have to do there. They're free. So if you're going to be running the LC anyway, you're gearing up for free is no problem, no issue. That's what you want to be doing. That's the best route to go. So you don't have to pay for anything, you don't have to buy anything. But realistically speaking,
free.
If you're going to be using an Ajax, try to get the cheapest Augs as possible. Try to use LC Augs because they're free. You can get them easily. Like when I say you can get them easily, look how many LC Augs I have. Look how many LC Augs I have. You can get them very easily, and they're great. LC Augs are
those easy.
The same as the original versions of them, but just a minus 0.25 difference.
Okay.
Not even 0.5, a 0.25 difference. So they're still extremely great, especially on ones such as Gigas Maste, such as Gladius Soul, such as Half Now, because these are all the augments that are above 3.0%. So you're still getting augs that are over 3.0 by using those LCs. Those are the only 3 augments out right now as of this video that are above 3.0%. It's the Gigas Maste, the Gladius Soul, and the Half Now. So either way, it's a win-win. Now, let's say you have to get these ones from the seasonal shop. You can get these. Now, this comes already unlocked. You would need to level it to 61. Remember, leveling it to 61 is where you get the access to the 6 augment slot.
That's
Remember,
how you get the 6
as we
augment
just talked
slot.
about the potency, how important it is to at least have something on that. Because if you have 0, you put a 3% augment on there, it can boost your overall potency up
Multiplies
by 6, 7, 8%, depending on where you're at. So you need to put at least something there, at least something. Do not be running with 5 slots on your units or your weapon. Do not. Just level it to 61 so you get access to it. You don't even have to level it to 70 if you don't have the funds or the resources to.
Okay.
Make sure it's 61 though.
Okay.
Make sure it is 61. That's how you can do that. On this one, however, with the seasonals, if you're going to use this, which like I said, I would not heavily recommend using this. You really want to aim for that Octo. You really want to aim for the Octos. It's really easily accessible. The Growthment, 50 Growthment is not hard to get. If you run Leciel once per day, you get a 10 Growthment daily. 10 free? You get 10 Growthment for free for running Leciel once a day. What? So in 5 days, if you just run Leciel once a day, you could get 1 Octo unit.
That's 70 a week.
You see what I'm saying? But if you really had to get these, Ajaxes from the seasonal shop, the big things here is getting rid of this L Domina and this triple. These are not acceptable. L Domina is 1.5%. That is not acceptable. Do not run that. Do not use that. You can put something else on there for just so much cheaper. You can spend like 5K and put like a 3% aug on there. You could probably put like a stats like precision, tech, melee, whichever, the 4, whatever. You can put something on there. And then triple is 2.0%. Remember, what did I say before? Rule of thumb, 3 plus.
Yep.
Rule of thumb, nothing below 3. Just remember that when you're putting augments on this, rule of thumb, nothing below 3. Unless it's a mastery 4. That's rule of thumb. Remember I said it's okay to potentially, if you have good augments on, if you're using the Gigas Maste, Halfa now, Gladius Soul, the real or the LC versions across the board, you can get away if you want to put a Drake Keeper 4, depending on how you want to build your class, depending on how you're playing your class, you can do that too. Do not ever put more than 1 Drake Keeper 4. Do not. It's too much of a waste of potency. Too much of a waste. You're leaving too much on the board, so just do not do that. Aside from the L Dominant and the triple though, this one's 3.0. This could stay. The Mastery 4 could stay. Having both of these, not so sure. And then that kind of takes me into another point, which we're going to move into the weapons here, as I've kind of discussed, kind of what you know here, and then we'll kind of sum everything up at the end as well. But this is a perfect time for me to move on to the weapons, because you're seeing here how this gives potency floor increase, and this gives potency floor increase. Okay, you have to keep in mind that we have a few different weapon types out right now that are readily accessible, readily being used, and these weapons are the Neos Astrean, right? The Verschmelz, and the elusive Tisa. Also, there's a seasonal out right now, the Alcinq. So pretty much in terms of the Verschmelz operates in the sense that it is crit hit 100%. It operates in that it's crit hit 100% on its potential. This means potency floor does not matter. You do not want potency floor, as it is useless on Verschmelz. You only want augments that give potency. Potency floor is just the lowest hit that you can hit. So if the weapon says the lowest hit is 50, the highest hit is 100. Potency floor increase will make it so that the lowest hit will be 53 and the highest hit will be 100. You see what I'm saying? So it increases that bottom number. So it kind of squeezes, you know what I'm saying? It increases that bottom number. That's what potency floor does. There's no point for that on Verschmelz, because it's 100% crit. It's only based off of your potency. So do not be putting stuff that's potency floor. Like having a Drake Keeper 4 on a Verschmelz is literally useless. Literally provides you nothing. Literally provides you nothing. So don't do stuff like that. So for Verschmelz, you just want flat, just full potency pretty much. Now for the Neos Astrean, for most classes, the Verschmelz is what you want to be using. However, Neos Astreans, if you have high fixes, are good as well. And if you're a Slayer, they're really the only option that you have. As a Verschmelz actually goes negative backwards behind the Neos Astrean, because it really makes it so that none of your class skills work, because a lot of Slayer's bonuses are crits. That's the class skill tree. It's like crit stuff, crit related stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
But if you're 100% crit all the time, that means essentially you're getting no class skills. As a result, it drops Slayer's damage to negative below a base Neos Astrean by using a Verschmelz gunblade. So keep that in mind. Idealistically speaking, you want to be using a Neos Astrean as a Slayer, which, as you can see, as I use one here, I have a Neos Astrean fixed Terminal 4. I did discuss this in the video before about fixes and everything like that, so make sure you check that out, because we're not going to discuss that here, because it's a whole thing and it's in much more detail in the other video. So make sure you check that out. Lastly, as of right now, as of this video, we have the Alcinq, which is what you should be using on pretty much anything in ALEO, including the LTQ, including Leciel. Leciel mobs are seasonal right now, and the Alcinq weapons, seasonal weapons in general, are going to operate better than anything else out there. On seasonal mobs. That's how seasonal weapons work.
On seasonal
and by a huge amount. It will perform like 30% better. 30% better.
What?
Yeah, that's big, right? That's very big. Very big. So when there's a seasonal event, you want to be using the seasonal weapons. Literally, just grab the seasonal weapon during the seasonal. As long as you're killing seasonal mobs, do not go into urgent quests using a seasonal weapon. It does not work. It does not work.
They're not seasonal.
Use your normal weapon. That's very important. Use your normal weapon. If you do not see a marking, the seasonal marking on the mob, do not use your seasonal weapon. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Do not use it. Okay? But you can easily go in there. These are already limit broken. And so they're already 60. You don't need any armor finders or anything like that. You're good to go. You just level it. You get to 61, you get access to that 6 slot. Preferably, well, you want to level your weapon to 70. That's because it's not really going to make a difference unless it's maxed out. So level to 70. Because you want to get to 70, and you can use these during the seasonal month, during whatever seasonal month you want to use the seasonal weapon. But specifically for this one, now, if you're watching this video, this is already over with, then just apply it to the next seasonal weapon. The seasonal weapon will always be the best option as long as it's max level. Plain and simple. It will always be. So just keep that in mind. Now back to the Neos Astrean, it is okay to have 4 potency and stuff like that on the Neos Astrean, because it works like a normal weapon should. So 4 potency does help, but potency is always what you want to aim for. So like, don't just stack 4 potency without potency. Now, if you're looking to make some of these augments as well, some of these high-end augments, keep in mind that you can go to the Augment Exchange shop over here, the Augment capsule, and you'll see that you can exchange materials for certain augments here. You just kind of have to look through your stuff, look through what you have, and possibly try to do some research on what you're trying to make and how to get these. These come from different things, whether it's dual quests or whether it's just farming in the areas, or et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, half an hours are very cheap right now because their mats drop in abundance in Leciel Exploration. So keep those things in mind if you're trying to get the actual full versions of these augments. In regards to the Octos, remember that there are variations for these. Like I said, they're all 4.5, so whichever ones work for you. Just remember that all these are different in the regards that the regular Octos will work across all your classes, whereas the variations have 2 of 3 on each of them. So like the Arga is melee and range. Then the Belta is range and tech. Sheza is melee and tech. So they'll only work with 2 of 3 of your classes, whereas the regular Octo will work with all of your classes. So it's just, you'll have that set and you'll be able to use that with everything. So you don't have to worry about, switching between units or anything like that for, if you want to play a different class or something of the sort. Hopefully this video helped out, and if there's any questions or anything that needs to be elaborated on, please feel free to ask in the comments, because I will address them in the comments. If I feel like they need much more elaborate addressing, and that many people would be asking this question, then I'll make another video about it. So I'm always glad to help the community here, and just let me know with the feedback. But hopefully this helps kind of explain to anyone who's coming into the game and who's wondering how should I be gearing, what should I be aiming towards, etc., etc., etc. And if this helped, please be sure to like and subscribe.
We click that thing right now,
and I will see y'all The next one. Okay, I'll see you. I'll see you. See you. Appreciate you. Yeah.
Spike Su content.